Hey guys, hope all of you are doing fine. This is the part 8 of the Being Reborn in Marvel with Gamer's ability. Marvel Gamer Part 8. With Thor, I traveled to the world of the dwarfs, Nidavellir. At first glance, the place looked like a massive blacksmith shop. The entire structure the dwarfs used as a planet seemed to be handmade, so to speak, but there was more to it than a simple glance could catch. Under the sole of my foot, I could feel the magic around surging with immense power, and it all emanated from a single point, the neutron star that was nearby. The magic I was feeling was systematically different than Asgard's. This magic was raw, untamed, without a form. It was intoxicating because it felt like the magic itself was begging to be shaped, to be transformed into anything your heart desired, like a piece of molten metal looking for a form. I guess it was to be expected. Nidavellir was known according to Thor as the Forge of the Universe. Nidavellir, the home of the dwarfs. Nidavellir is a neutron star and one of the 9 realms under Asgard's protection. This small star is orbited by a multi-ringed megastructure which served as the home world of the dwarfs. Many say that the dwarfs forged this planet, others say it was from this neutron star the dwarfs came to be. No one knows the real answer. While in Nidavellir all crafting-related skills get a 250% EXP buff. A 250% EXP buff in crafting, a dream come true to those in need of experience. Here we are, Brother Thor announced. The planet my mighty hammer was forged. Nidavellir. He grinned, giving me a one-armed hug, as he used his other arm to point at the entrance of the megastructure the dwarfs used as a planet. It looks awesome, I admitted. Even now from the outside of place, I could feel the entire structure vibrating as if welcoming me inside, as if sensing my desire to craft and make things. I know, Thor nodded with a satisfied smile, when all of the sudden, he gasped in realization, maybe we can get you a mighty weapon from here. Maybe a hammer. A smaller one, of course. I snorted, one thing at a time. Nonsense. Let's go. Thor barked with a smile, opening the doors for me. Who comes? Oh. Thor. As soon as Thor opened the door, a giant welcomed us. At first he looked angry, but then he seemed to have recognized the Prince of Asgard, all hostility gone. Dugrier Oricloak LV 110. My friend. Thor smiled, as he whispered into my ear, I have no idea who he is. I laughed. Who are you? The GI. Dwarf asked. I wonder why they call themselves dwarfs. They are bigger than the frost giants, by a lot. I am Thor's friend, I replied. He is being shy. He is my brother from another mother. Thor once again gave me a one-armed hug. I chuckled. We are, I nodded. He is mighty, Thor nodded. Okay, the dwarf muttered in confusion, before he asked, why are you here, brother of Thor? I required the assistance of the dwarfs in learning how to craft, I answered, and if possible, I want to sing an alliance with the Dwarf King too. The dwarf turned to look at Thor, who simply grinned under his scrutinizing look. Eitri would do good to sign an alliance with him. Asgard did. He is, after all, my blood brother. Thor was adorable at times. He was like my younger brother, even though he was older. Well, that's for King Eitri to decide. The dwarf shrugged with just the hint of a smile. Follow me then. Where? I asked. To meet with our king, the dwarf replied. He will give you the answers you seek, be it for the alliance, or for the crafting classes. Eitri looked just like a massive Tyrion Lannister. It was shocking really how good had Marvel cast the actor to fill Eitri's role. Thor Eitri greeted. Eitri, King of Nidavellir LV 135. Eitri. Thor greeted with a smile. I present you, my brother, Alex the Mighty. I was not aware Odin had another kid, Eitri replied with a bemused look on his face. He is my brother from another mother, and Father Thor replied with a smile. Oh, I see, well, welcome Alex, brother of Thor. Eitri smiled at me. Thanks for giving me an audience, Your Majesty. I bowed ever so lightly. PFF, don't worry, King is more of novelty title. I am first and upmost a blacksmith, and a blacksmith always has time for his friends, or clients. Eitri chuckled. My brother here seeks to form a formal alliance with Nadavla, and also to learn how to craft weapons and such from the masters themselves. Thor said, beating me to it. I was just about to say the reason behind my visit. Oh, a formal alliance. Eitri said, looking at me, then turning to look at Thor. Has Asgard signed one with him? Of course, Thor nodded. Father says my brother is a mighty ally to have. Mighty this, mighty that. Thor had not read the dictionary I had given him a month ago. He really needed to increase his vocabulary. Then I don't see why Nadavla would not ally themselves with him. Then if the All-Father has, it means it's for the best. Eitri smiled. So, where do I have to sign? He added, as I apparated the papers. This had been easier than I thought. Eitri looked at the papers, and then at me. Do you see the problem here? The papers were human-sized. I do. I nodded, embarrassed. I had forgotten to change them. Let me fix that. With a sigh, I used my Eldritch transmutation to change the size of the papers to Gia dwarf size. Okay, let's see, Eitri muttered, putting on a pair of glasses to read the papers. 2 minutes later, he signed. You have formed a formal alliance with Nadavla. All the members of Nadavla now appear in the minimap. By forming a formal alliance with Nadavla, you have gained a permanent EXP buff while on Nadavla of 550%, out of Nadavla 275% EXP. Holy fuck, those buffs. There, now, about learning how to craft, when can you start, little dwarf? Eitri asked with a smile. With Eitri's permission I got some books from their library, books I had to transmute into human size, because most of them were as big as a house. After I had all the books I wanted I returned to Earth with Thor, for Christmas was right around the corner, reason why Thor wanted to come. So, when does this celebration start? Thor asked. In 4 days, I smiled at him, but first, we need to buy some gifts. Of course. But why? Thor asked, tilting his head in confusion. Well, Christmas, it's a time for sharing, and part of sharing is that, I answered. I see, a most joyous occasion then. Thor nodded to himself. Then I request of you to open a portal to Asgard. I am in dire need of worthy gifts for my nieces, and metal-armed butler, and you. I chuckled, sure, why not, I'll pick you up the day before Christmas, sounds good. It does, 3 days shall suffice for this quest. I shall bring the mightiest gifts in all the 9 realms, or die trying. Thor declared as I opened the portal. Good luck on your quest, I snorted. Huzzah! Was the last thing Thor said before he jumped into the portal. With Thor out of the picture for a few days, all that was left to do was to find the perfect gift for the girls. Maybe bikes, or clothes. Emily enjoyed cooking, so perhaps some cooking books. I know that look, I heard Bucky chuckle. What look? I turned around to face him. I will give my kids a pair of socks for Christmas, Bucky smirked. I would never. I gasped, feigning to be hurt. So, what do you plan to give the girls? Bucky rolled his eyes, taking a seat. I was thinking maybe a pair of new bikes. I replied, and as soon as those words left my mouth, I knew how lame the idea was. Forget it, that sounds sad, I sighed, and then it hit me. The girls loved the beach, and had been begging me to go, so why not get them something to use there in our house in the beach? Why not get them a pair of jet skis? I got Emily and Nat a PlayStation 1. Bucky smiled at me, with a smug smile that said, "Top that." Then his expression changed to a sour one. "I had to fight for it." Thought, "People are buying them like cupcakes. You had to fight for a PlayStation 1. I snorted, "Wait when they release the 5R, I love my inside jokes." "Okay," Bucky replied. "So who did you have to fight?" I asked with a chuckle. "Fury," Bucky replied. Flashback, Bucky POV. Christmas was coming, and I had to be ready. My gift had to be perfect. I had to outshine every other gift, and show that pompous self-centered arrogant man-child of Asgard who is the best uncle. For that, and my love for the girls, I had to find the perfect gift. That gift seemed to be the PlayStation 1. Apparently the console had been released a few months ago on September 9. No idea what this thing did, but according to the few people I talked to, kids loved the thing. Sadly, my hunt for the console proved to be hard, very hard. It was absurd how hard it was to find one. Hours hunting something that should be easy to find, to the point I had to use every skill at my disposal to do so, eventually finding one store that had two left. Naturally, I rushed to the store with my bike. It took me a few minutes to reach the store that was fortunately close to me. "Do you still have it?" I asked as I kicked the door open. My heart. "No, it was kicked alongside that door," the store's employee replied. I stared at the man. I had no time to waste. "Do you have the PlayStations, yes or no?" "Yes," the retail worker replied. "Follow me." And so I did. The employee took me to the back where the last two PlayStations were. I had finally done it. I had found the perfect gift for the girls. "Drop the PlayStations," I heard someone say, followed by a gun being cocked. Someone I knew. "Fury. You followed me?" I asked, my hand slowly reaching my waist for my gun. "Bitch no," Fury snorted, "like you, I'm on the hunt for the perfect gift for the girls. You know how hard it is to find a PlayStation 1. This was so hard to find it felt like I was looking for drugs, but sadly finding drugs it's easier." "I won't let you take the PlayStations," I stated. "Bitch, super bitch or not, I have an army," Fury replied, "so buy a doll, and let Uncle Fury get the motherfucking glory he deserves." "Never," I replied with a growl. I don't get paid enough for this, so I'm out," the retail worker said. "Boy, sit your ass down, I need someone to ring those PlayStations." Fury however stopped him from leaving. Taking this brief moment Fury had taken his eyes off me, I grabbed the PlayStations and ran, using the grappling hook Alex had installed in my arm. "You can run, but you can't hide, bitch," Fury shouted. And so the bloodshed began. In a figurative way, Fury and his agents tried to capture me, until we once again came to a stalemate. "I won't be the uncle that brings the lame gift," Fury barked. "Sir," the retail worker he had captured muttered. "I told you before, I will release you once you ring those consoles," Fury sighed in annoyance. "That's cool and all, but I have an idea that could benefit you both." The retail worker chuckled nervously. "Speak," I said, looking at the guy. "Why don't you buy the consoles, and he buys the games and accessories?" Fury looked at me. I looked at him. "That works," Fury nodded, releasing the guy. "Perfect. Now please go to the back and get all the things you need, while I change my pants." The retail worker smiled, bringing our attention to his soiled crotch area. Perhaps, just perhaps, we had overdid it. End of flashback. Alex POV. With my jet ski idea, I drove to the nearest dealership and bought one black for Nat, and one pink for Emily, and with that I was set for this celebration. Jet skis, that's a good one. Bucky, who was helping me load them into my truck, nodded in approval. Not that I needed his help, I could lift them with a single hand, but we needed to keep the appearances, so two guys moving a jet ski with tools looked normal. Thanks, I smiled, wondering what type of emotionally heartwarming present the girls would give me. Christmas had passed, and I couldn't help but smile at the memories I had of the jolly celebration. Nat's first real Christmas, Emily's smile, it just warmed my heart to know they were happy, to see them smile, truly smile. Funny how things change, from a guy in the forest to a dad that is friends with a cyborg, a super spy, the Nordic god of thunder, and the supreme sorceress. But enough about that. Now, it was time to progress. Crafting LV29. Soon after Christmas ended, I poured all my time into one thing, and one thing only, improving my crafting skills so that I could have the army of golems I needed, that Earth needed. Which had been easier thanks to my alliance with Nadavla. The buffs the alliance gave in things related to crafting and such were incredible, but also confusing. I mean, why didn't the alliance with Asgard, or the alliance with the Ancient One give me anything? Perhaps it was a matter of chance, who knows? But to be entirely honest, I am glad I got the buffs with Nadavla, instead of the other two. While a buff in combat-related arts or magic would have been nice, crafting was what I needed. It was a more versatile buff in the great scheme of things. Which is why I was currently in Nadavla, learning under the King of Dwarfs, Eitri. You are putting too much ore into the mix, Eitri sighed, as he approached. The instructions you gave me said I needed that much, I replied with a sigh of own. If you allow me to absorb that book, I can learn how to craft this poleum in an instant, I added. No, Eitri shook his head. To be a master in this art, you have to put your heart into it, no shortcuts, those are for the ones that finished the race without cheating. Then why did you give me so many books the first time I came? I asked the Dwarf King. I mean, why give me a ton of knowledge I already absorbed if you are against such a thing? To put on you a teachable level, Eitri chuckled, putting one of his fingers on my head, which made me feel like I was on Attack on Titan. Dwarfs my ass, you learned a lot with your power, but you still lack the heart, the feeling you need behind your work. I suppose, I sighed with just the hint of a smile. I mean, you are the best crafter I know. Eitri narrowed his eyes at me. I am the only crafter you know. What about the guy that brought me to your throne room? I asked. He was a guard. Eitri rolled his eyes. But yes, you are right, I am the best, and because of that, I know best. Okay, but let me finish this. I already started anyway, I chuckled, as I continued to work on the poleum I had been assigned to work on. Crafting has leveled up. Crafting has leveled up. By the end of the day, my crafting skill had leveled up to crafting LV35, meaning it was time to craft my first golem, a clay golem, currently the only golem I could craft, besides the most known one, the stone golem. With a sigh of anticipation, I selected the ingredients from my inventory and started the process. 2 minutes later, the process had been completed, and a new item had appeared in my inventory. Clay Golem, S. Well, here goes nothing, and so, I activated the item, bringing to life my first golem ever. The golem was big, around 4 meters tall, and looked like a lion on 2 feet, but not like a normal lion, like those seen in Japanese art. Clay Golem S, LV10. HP, 1000/1000. MP, 150/150. EXP, 0/100%. Description: Golems are magically created automatons of great power that follow the will of their creator without a question, for they have no will of their own. The strength of a golem can vary even within their own kind. Two golems of the same kind and level can have vast differences in strengths. The better the material, the stronger the golem will be, F being the lowest rank of crafting and S being the best one. This rank will appear beside the name of the golem. This is the weakest type of golem, a clay golem. Golems can level up, becoming stronger than when they started. Some golems start at a higher level, with the weakest starting at level 10. Level 10, but can level up. I wonder, I hummed, imagining taking the big guy to a dungeon or two, that for later. Now it's time to craft a stone golem. Once again, I repeated the process, this time with the stones, and 2 minutes later I had a new item on my inventory. Stone golem, come forth, the rock. I chuckled at my own joke as I activated the golem. Soon after, a massive 5 meters tall behemoth appeared. His appearance was shockingly like that of a knight, a very big knight with no face but rocky armor. Stone golem, LV 25. HP 7500/7500. MP 950/950. Skills: Harden, Reflect, Recover. EXP 0/100%. The golems could learn skills. Well, this is getting interesting. Harden equals it increases the golem's defense by a 200%. Reflect equals it reflects all physical damage for a 5-second duration as long as the golem has the minimal level advantage of 5. Recover equals when the golem's HP drops below the 10% mark, he will dig into the earth to recover, but this will only happen if the golem has backup. If the golem is fighting alone, he will prioritize dying to protect its creator. Holy shit, I whistled. Those are better skills than the ones I had at that level, I chuckled. This was definitely the right call. With an army of these, Thanos would be nothing but a nuisance. I mean, imagine the possibilities. A vibranium golem. An adamantium one. I could hardly wait to test every possible golem. Golems were malleable creatures. Even though they had no will of their own, they could adapt, learn, and evolve within their own parameters. Like the golems I had created a week ago, they were low level, but after a week of taking them to the dungeons to test a few scenarios with them, they had leveled up quite a lot. I mean, it was to be expected. I had taken them to dungeons far beyond their level, each dungeon giving them 10 or so levels per completion, and in less than a week they had leveled up to level 100. Clay Golem, SLV 102. HP equals 100.000/100.000. MP equals 1500/1500. Skills equals Retribution, Clay Shot, Will of the Clay. Retribution equals the golem stores 15% of the damage he receives to punish his opponents. Clay Shot equals using his mana. The golem creates more clay to shoot at his opponents. It can shoot up to 10 clay shots at the same time. Will of the Clay equals the golem burns all his mana to create 4 identical clones of itself that deal 50% of his damage, but have the same resistance and HP the golem had upon activation. Stone Golem, a LV 112. HP equals 275.000/275.000. MP equals 9500/9500. Skills equals Harden, Reflect, Recover, a game. Harden equals the golem increases his defense by a 200%. Reflect equals it reflects all physical damage for a 5-second duration as long as the golem has the minimal level advantage of 5. otherwise he ignores 75% of all upcoming damage. Recover equals when the golem's HP drops below the 10% mark, he will dig into the earth to recover, but this will only happen if the golem has backup. If the golem is fighting alone, he will prioritize dying to protect its creator. A game equals once dead, the golem comes back to life, with all of his power, ready to fight. This ability is locked for 1 hour after use. They were already strong enough to kick anyone's ass on Earth. I had just started testing things out, like, I had just found out you could equip items on them, as long as you created said items with the same base material they were made out, for example, a clay sword for the clay golem, and a stone hammer for the stone golem. Another thing I had just discovered was, you could enchant them. They were basically sentient items without a will of their own, so as items, I could enchant them, like with a pair of shoes, or a weapon, increasing their overall strength even more. And that was not all, I had also discovered you could give them skills. How? Well, by adding a scroll of the skill you wanted them to have in the mix, within reason, of course. Golems had limited capabilities, but could still learn powerful skills, again, within reason, like my newest stone golem, who even though was level 15, had mana arrows on his arsenal. Each new discovery added a new whole perspective to the crafting game and my end game in the great scheme of things. The more I experimented, the more I learned, the more I was sure about my original idea, that little by little was growing alongside my discoveries, showing me that I had been right all along. The industrialization of golems and other magical structures and/or items was the way to go. For example, right now, my 2 high-level golems were doing a low level for me completely alone. They could enter dungeons without me, and 1% of all the EXP they earned inside said dungeons was mine, regardless of my whereabouts. Now, 1% EXP was nothing when it came from 2 golems alone, but now imagine a few thousand golems leveling up for me, now imagine 1 million, at a certain point that 1% becomes something, right? If I managed to fully industrialize their creation, I would essentially turn my entire leveling experience into an AFK game. I would at all times be gaining EXP, eating. EXP, spending time with the girls. EXP, in the bathroom. EXP, 24/7, I would be getting gains. Meaning right now my goal was to get my crafting skill to a high enough level to make an automatic magical forge to create thousands of my babies, which was already the original goal, but now that I had confirmed a few theories, and had seen a few things, well, I knew what was possible, what could be, and what was not. Crafting LV59. According to the books I had acquired, the first magical forge was to be unlocked on level 135. Said forge was made out of clay and was at one time used to create an army of clay soldiers. Its sole purpose was that to create life out of clay, with a few minor modifications. I would use this forge an army of clay golems. How I would automatize said process, I had yet to figure that out. Perhaps I would put a golem there to manage the production, who knows. So, are you playing God? No. I heard someone ask. That someone was Fury, who was looking at my golems with a bewildered look on his face. No, I snorted, they are my soldiers. Ha, that answers nothing, but I won't press on. Your magical bullshit confuses me, Fury replied without missing a beat. So, do you need a favor or? I asked with a narrow look. Bitch please, Fury rolled his eye at me, with a small smile adorning his face. It's movie night, or did you forget? Oh right, it's Friday, oh, yeah. So, will your 2 creations join us? Fury asked, eyeing the golems. No, I shook my head. Good, they freak me out, Fury sighed in relief. You are scared of golems of all things. I laughed. Well, ain't that a kick in the A? Oh, I'm sorry, is the correct response to suck their magical nuts in or? Fury shot back, just because you deal with this shit on a daily basis, does not mean it's natural. I'm a spy, I deal with weird shit, and this, he pointed to the golems, is weird as fuck, which is a lot coming from me. I mean, I saw a fucking human centipede a week ago, and this two behemoths still get the cake in the end. Okay, that's just too much, your sensibilities are all over the place. You see people forced to eat other people's asses, and two moving statues freak you out. I think the human centipede, it's by far the most disturbing thing of the two, and I have seen Odin flirt with his wife. I snorted. Itree's POV. Alex Walker was a very gifted individual. His unique magic made it so learning was a smooth experience for him. No matter what challenge I put in front of him, he would eventually find a way to complete it, for all he needed was time. It was impressive really, at each turn he would surpass my expectations. But even so, he didn't see beyond the veil. For him crafting was the means to an end, not an art that needed to be treated with respect and care, and until he understood that, he would never reach the highs he wanted to with this. But I had high hopes for him. In all of my years, I had never seen someone with such talent. Whatever his powers were, they adapted to anything. Like the molten core of a dying star, his possibilities were endless, and if forged right, he could very well be the Night Grand Crafter. A title I myself had failed to reach. A title only the first king of Nidavellir, the father of dwarfs, had achieved, Fafnir. I finished my assignment, Alex said as he entered my office, a small smile adorning his face with excitement in each of his features. Let's see it then, I smiled at him, putting on my glasses to examine his work. Here it is, Alex smiled, taking a deep breath of trepidation, always so nervous when it comes to showing his final work. I hummed, as I took the piece out of his hands, a small knife carved from the asteroids of a fallen planet, enchanted to never lose its edge. The knife had a good weight, and the handle was perfect. Once again he had surpassed my expectations, and still, the knife had no heart in it. So? Alex asked. It's good, but it lacks heart, kid, I replied with a sigh. Well, duh, someone has yet to use it, Alex shot back with a small smirk on his face. Cheeky little bastard he was at times. You know what I mean, each piece coming out of your smithy has to be perfect, full of heart and soul, like the drawing of a kid for his parents. Each piece had to have a meaning, beyond its purpose. I try, but I don't know how to do that, Alex muttered, his head down. You are a parent, right? I asked, and he nodded. Then watch your kids and learn. Everything they do it with passion, with heart, for the innocent flame that burns within them fuel every single motion they take. That flame dies eventually, we never know when, but at one point, you start to do things because you have to, not because they bring you joy. Games that used to bring you joy, now are part of the monotony. The work that once used to bring you happiness is now just the means to an end, so learn from them. I see, Alex sighed. I suppose kids do put their all to all. They do, so learn while you can. That flame of passion will eventually die, but for now, it burns bright. I smiled at him. But beyond that, was the knife good? Alex asked. It was perfect, I answered. Loki POV. Alex Walker, a man that in a month had earned Asgard's adoration, Thor's love, and Odin's favor. I hated that man. I hate how seemingly easy he made everything I ever wanted look. Even Sif loved him, the warrior Th4, loved him. Why him? A weak pathetic mortal whose life would burn in the blink of an eye. Why him? A bug that would die in the time that takes an Asgardian take a breath. Why him? I just I just didn't understand. How could he, a stranger, get everything I had ever wanted, so easily? It was a notion that I just couldn't comprehend. A notion that infuriated me, beyond belief, so perhaps it was time to make this mortal remember his place, to make him remember the frail, pathetic, and short meaning of his mortality. Loki, I heard Mother say, in a tone that said, I know you are planning something bad, so stop it. Mother, I replied as I turned around with a fake smile, what brings to you my chambers this fine day? Loki, I know you are planning something, so, please, don't, Mother pressed. It was infuriating how easy she was able to see through me. Then again, she was the only one that has ever bothered to get to know me, it was to be expected. Worry not, it's nothing bad for a scarred, that is. You know, you say that, but I can't believe a word you say, Mother sighed, giving me a kiss on my forehead. What can I say? I am a mischievous child, I smiled at her. That you are, Mother smiled ever so fondly. Well, I have to go, Mother, I have things to do, mortals to eliminate, and you know, time is of the essence, I finished with a broad smile. Take care, my little prince, Mother chuckled, blowing me a kiss. I shall. The one that needed to take care was Alex, for he soon would taste the painful wrath of a god. Alex Walker POV. Itri's words echoed in my head. Putting my heart into my creations sounded simple, but it was harder than it looked. I had no idea where to begin with, so I took his advice. After all, he was right. As kids we put our all into anything we do, a quality we later forget as the burdens of adulthood reach us. So with that in mind, I enlisted no other than Emily for the job. Daddy, today you will learn how to do things with your heart, the old Emily way. Emily started. She was so into this role I had jokingly given her. She had transmuted her clothes into pink military clothes. Heck, she even had a ruler on her hands, one that she would smack on her tiny Hello Kitty desk every now and then. Aye, Captain. I smiled. You will speak when spoken to, am I clear? Emily narrowed her eyes at me, and I couldn't help but laugh. She was so adorable. Daddy. I am trying my best. Meanie. Alex, Nidavla, POV. Learning from Emily had proven to be difficult. What was the true meaning of pouring your heart into something? In theory, I understood the principle of it, but in practice, I had no idea how to apply it. I mean, I already loved crafting, and the power this skill brought me, but that was not enough according to Itri. Alex. I heard someone shout, snapping me out of my train of thought. Thor. I turned around to find Thor entering my room in Nidavla. Who else but the mighty? Thor replied with a wide smile, but something seemed off. It was as if the space itself was bending around him. The manner around Thor seemed to oscillate, creating a strange reading. Now that I think about it, where's his name tag? Why can't I see his level or name? There were only two possible explanations the way I saw it. 1. This was a being able to distort my power, or 2. This was a mage of some kind creating an illusion to trick, and considering I was too much of a small fry to invoke the ire of the few possible gods able to distort my powers, I was inclining to the latter. The question now was, who was the man standing in front of me? Whoever this person was, it was an enemy, that much was clear. The minimap showed his presence as a red dot, which alleviated my thoughts of him being a dangerous being messing with my powers, because if he was, the minimap would also be affected, but that wasn't the case. His illusions didn't affect my map, I could work with that. Now, what do I know? Whoever this person is, he has to know of my relationship with Thor, so maybe an Asgardian, Loki mayhaps. So, brother, I wanted to invite you to a glorious quest of might. Thor smiled, approaching me. But why would Loki try and trick me? No, scratch that, he was the god of mischief, it was on his nature. The question was, why was he now my enemy? A month ago his dot was green, like all the other Asgardians, so what happened to make him an enemy? Oh well, this was beyond the point now. If Loki wanted my head, he would have to fight for it. I'm not Thor, Loki, I replied with a sigh. I am not easy to fool, nor I will be an easy prey, so drop the act. Bravo, Loki replied, his illusional form changing back to his with each passing second. I am impressed, mortal, I truly am. It seems unlike Thor and his friends, you use that brain of yours. So, tell me, why do you want to kill me? I asked with a chuckle. For a moment, Loki stared at me, as if weighing his next move. Perhaps he was surprised with how easy I had seen through his little scheme, or perhaps he was shocked. I knew he wanted to kill me. Well, because you, like many other mortals, have stepped out of your line, Loki sneered. Even from afar, I could feel his rage, his hate, his sadness. Just what in the hell had I done to him? And then it hit me, he was jealous, of my relationship with Thor, of my relationship with Sif, of my status in Asgard. He was jealous, and out of jealousy, he was throwing a tantrum. Oh, I see, I snickered, my right hand covering my mouth ever so lightly. You are jealous. At this, Loki glared at me, not saying a single word, his eyes doing all the talking. In short, I had pressed his buttons. You dare? Loki hissed. I dare what? Speak the truth. I smiled at him with a condescending look. After all, the more pissed he was, the easier it would be to deal with him. I will enjoy what's coming next, Loki hissed once again, his level finally appearing above his head. Loki Odinson, LV 223. You will enjoy defeat. I have to say, how altruistic of you, I cackled. That's it. Loki screamed in rage, summoning 2 daggers as he ran towards me. I looked at Loki as he approached me, and sidestepped as his attack was about to hit. Then quickly, before Loki could respond with a follow-up, I swiftly punched Loki in the throat using savagery, followed by a second punch to the solar plexus, knocking the wind out of the god of mischief, stunning him in the ground for a brief moment. I fight Thor almost on a daily basis, and you thought you had a chance. He was a few levels ahead of me, but if I had to take a guess, all of his stats were in non-physical areas, leaving him as a mage with no offensive skill. All he had was his illusions, and his conjuration, leaving him with no real offensive skill, meaning that while his level was higher, I was vastly more prepared. Sleep. Loki hissed, touching my leg. Immediately after I fell, his mana invade my body, trying and failing to mold my head to obey his command. Unfortunately for him, I was immune to such attacks. Did you just try to mind control me? I asked with a smile. No, it shouldn't be possible. Why is your mind so strong? No mortal should have such mental defenses. Loki hissed, coughing a bit of blood as he struggled to stand up. Had you had enough? I asked, extending my hand to him. I bear no ill towards you, Loki, I even admire you, so let's be friends. Shall we? Friends. Loki laughed. Friends. I won't be humiliated like this by a mortal. If I can't hurt you directly, I will do it indirectly. Perhaps your dog. He hadn't had the time to finish his sentence, when I had already blasted him back to the ground, stabbing him with his own knife. I will be as clear as possible, Loki. I muttered to his ear, digging the knife deeper and deeper into his body. Walk on that path, and I will kill you. Make no mistake, I am not Odin, I am not Thor, I am not Frigga. I will eliminate you the moment you become a nuisance. Is that clear, little god? Before Loki could reply, a new presence came into the room. Odin. That's enough, Alex, Odin said. I meant every word I said, Odin, I replied, turning my head around to face Odin. I know, Odin replied. I don't care about your rules, or his status, I sighed, taking the knife out of Loki's body. If he threatens my family ever again, it will be the end of him. You, Loki growled, only to be silenced by a glare from his father. Had I been 1 second late, he would have killed you, Loki, Odin roared. I will deal with your punishment myself, he's an ally of Asgard. Forbore Sake. I understand, Father, Loki replied, avoiding his piercing gaze. Remember my words, little god, for now, I consider you a threat, and my eyes will be forever on you, I added, walking out of the room, sharing a cold look with Odin that said, control your child, or I will for you. Loki had made his move, and now it was my turn. Knowing what I did about him, the vindictive god of mischief was far from over with his quest to get me. I knew he would strike again one day, sooner or later. It was in his wretched nature, as it was on Odin's, letting him be the way he was, and while I had no qualms about facing him again, for victory was all but assured, my daughters were a totally different story. They were not prepared to face Loki. So I had to make some preparations. Preparations the Ancient One would assist me with. Loki was a magic caster, one that heavily relied on the use of high-grade illusions to fight, alongside some low-level conjuration. Without that, he was an average Asgardian, maybe a bit better than the rest if I had to be begrudgingly honest, but overall he was weaker than the most trained soldiers in his own palace. The funny thing was, he had immense potential, the potential to become a dangerous foe, even more dangerous than Thor, but his ego would not allow him to improve. For him, he was perfect, his magic was beyond mortal reach and or comprehension. But whatever his mental deal was that kept him being a side character of another's story, it worked for me. As long as he was overconfident, I would be able to read him, and plan 10 moves ahead. My measures against Loki were simple. 1. I had the Ancient One forge me an enchanted item whose sole purpose was to dispel illusions as soon as they reached the wearer of the time. The item obviously was not for me, but for Bucky, as he was the unofficial bodyguard of the girls. Then, I had her teach me that enchantment, which I used to create 8 metal golems, infusing the golems with the enchantment. Golems I then put to level up under the higher level golem's care. The metal golems were essential for Loki's next move. Their sturdy physique made them almost immune to magic, and their unique set of skills, that included Mana Reaver and Reflect, made them the perfect to face mags like Loki. Mana Reaver especially made it hard for mags to deal with these golem, as they ate away the mana of their opponent with each attack. Heck, being around the golems consumed mana, as the skill also worked passively. However, the mana consumption was highly more effective when attacks were in the mix. With those 8 golems, and the others I already had previous to all of this, Loki would not stand a chance, for unlike Thor his physical strength was mediocre at best. However, my countermeasures didn't end there. I had a few extra steps and plans set in place just for Loki, waiting for the moment he decided to step out of line once again, as I knew he would, plans that would bring the end of a god before it was his time. Odin Borson POV. I glared at Loki before I let out a sigh. Do you have any idea of what would have happened had I been there late? I asked with a desperate look. Before Loki could reply, a voice whispered into my head, a voice I hadn't heard in a few thousand years. Hela, you are getting weaker, old man. I apologize, father, it won't happen again, Loki replied as I assimilated what had happened. Why now of all times had Hela decided to talk to me? That she could be as not a surprise. I sealed her, but she had a connection with me, with Asgard, and could communicate with me because of said connection. But since I sealed her, She hadn't said a word. For a couple millennia she was nothing but silent. Yes, the first month she screamed at me in rage, but after that, nothing, only silence. "Father, are you all right?" Loki asked, his voice edging with concern. Yes, I nodded, shaking my head. Now was not the time to ponder about my daughter. He will set me free, and I will pay him in blood, in more than one way. Perhaps killing that brat that has annoyed him, that would perhaps win me his favor, don't you think? Loki, you must behave. Alex is a very important man for Asgard. His death would bring us nothing but disgrace, I pressed. Ignoring me. My feelings are deeply hurt. Wasn't I your princess? The eye of your heart. I understand, Father, Loki replied, before I dismissed him. Then again, you said that with only one eye, so the question is, was I the missing eye, or the one you had, home? I like to think I'm the one you have, that way I can rip it out when I get out of here, after all, it is mine. What do you want, Hela? I hissed in my mind. Me. Not much, your head, the throne, the universe, and him. I want him. You will not be with him, of that I will make sure, I replied. Oh, please do, make my quest harder. I do love a challenge, you know, in the end makes the conquest all the more sweet. You will rot in there, Hela. The only conquest you will ever see, if that of my son taking the throne before you. I shot back. It pained me to talk to her like that, for the reason she was like she was me. Ha 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 ha, you truly have grown senile. You know you won't last long. One day or another, you will die, and we both know those two pathetic excuses you have for sons are no match for me. One is a spoiled brat and the other is a weakling with an ego too big for his own good. Alex will help them, if not for Loki he will for Thor. They are brothers, a friendship I was proud it had formed, to the point Thor himself threatened Loki if he aimed his fangs at the girls of his brother, the ones he calls nieces. I know, and I don't mind. I know he will face me, but soon will realize fighting me is pointless, and if by that point he still loves that spoiled brat, well, I suppose I could forgive my little brother, if he kneels. After all, one does have to make sacrifices to make a relationship work, and I am willing to make a few. With the preparations ready for Loki, I changed my focus back to my crafting. This time, however, I was doing that on Earth, as to avoid Loki pulling a fast one on me. While most of the preparations were ready for his eventual move, the golems, the most essential part of the plan, were no ready. I had just created them, and it would take up to a month for them to reach the level I needed, which was at least level 125. So while that happened, I would be on Earth, where I would be able to notice his every move should he arrive on Earth with my map, an ability he had no idea I had, which worked remarkably well in my favor. Anyway, as I was saying, my focus was now on my crafting. I was, like Eitri had said, trying to put my heart into my creations, a concept whose answer still eluded me like a fish in a river. But I was getting there, I think. At least, Eitri said I was, that each new creation I presented to him was more whole and perfect than the last, so perhaps I was finding the answer without even realizing it. Maybe I should try to handcraft everything at least once, I hummed at the thought. Perhaps that was the missing part. I was too reliant on my power, which made my creations feel lifeless in a sense. I mean, for Eitri, who had forged everything with his very own hands, something I make with my power must be manufactured, soulless so to speak. As this thought settled within my mind, the idea of doing such became more and more appealing. I mean, handcrafting could be the answer, and if it wasn't, it was still EXP I was getting, double EXP to be precise, because manual learning gives more than gamer learning, but it takes more time, way more time. With the idea already in motion, I decided to try and make a clay golem by hand. It was after all one of the easiest things to make. I had the knowledge, and the ingredients, all that was left was to try. Forging a golem by hand instead of using my powers, was a rather problematic process, one that even with all the right knowledge, took a shit ton of time. To put it in other terms, creating my clay golem took 1 week. One entire agonizing week, where I questioned why I even tried to do this. I knew my powers were making things easier, but this was a fucking shock to me. From a few seconds to a week, it was a lot. Never before the difference between a process with my powers and without them had been so big. Then again, I had never truly crafted before, so I can perhaps understand why. Anyway, once the golem was created, all that was left was to give him life, which according to my knowledge was by pouring some of your mana into the creation with the help of an incantation. Here goes nothing, I sighed, starting the incantation as I poured mana into my creation. Little by little the golem started to shake until eventually, it came to life, and what I saw, shocked me. Clay Golem S, LV 50. 12500/12500. 8000/8000. The clay was lifeless, and then it came its master. With love and power it brought what was lacking of purpose and life, to a life filled with purpose. Now the clay has a purpose, now the clay is alive, and it will protect the one who blessed it with life. Skills: Retribution, Clay Shot, Will of the Clay, Acid Absorption, Berserk, Immutable Form. Retribution equals the golem stores 15% of the damage he receives to punish his opponents. Clay Shot equals using his mana. The golem creates more clay to shoot at his opponents. It can shoot up to 10 clay shots at the same time. Will of the Clay equals the golem burns all his mana to create 4 identical clones of itself that deal 50% of his damage, but have the same resistance and HP the golem has. Acid Absorption. Whenever the golem is subjected to acid damage, it takes no damage and instead regains HP equal to the acid damage that was supposed to attack it. Berserk. When the golem's HP drops to below the 50% mark, the golem gets a boost of 75% movement speed and damage. Immutable Form. The golem is immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. First of all, the golem had started way higher than the first clay golem I had created. Second, it had more skills, and seemed stronger all and all. Was this the reward for crafting the beast by hand? I suppose the question now is, quality or quantity? Ha ha, I laughed. How stupid, why pick one, when I can have both? After all, the purpose of my golems was to help me level up, meaning manufacturing them was still a green-lighted project, but on the side, I would most certainly make some hand-made golems, as an elite squad of sorts. Loki Odinson POV. Defeated by a mortal, how humiliating. The worst part was, he had barely put any effort into our fight. He handled me like a child. 2 hits and I was down for the count, and to make the matters worse, Father scolded me. Then Thor warned me of his human brother. His words still echoed in my head. Tilde 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 tilde. Memory. Thor walked to me and without a word slapped me. I warn you, Loki, don't bring his daughters into your petty vendettas. He is not me, he is not father, he will kill you. I smiled, and that would make you happy, right brother? I asked with a sneer. No, Thor replied, his tone going somewhat soft, and is because of that I am here, to warn you. Whatever you have against Alex, put it aside, or focus on only him. For Odin's beard, if you want to focus on someone, do it on me, but leave his children alone. Don't invoke his ire, Loki, or you will die. I wanted to scream at him. I remember that I wanted to tell him no mortal was my match, but the results of our encounter proved I wasn't a match for him, so I turned around and walked away. Tilde 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 tilde. The truth was, Alex was stronger than me, and unlike Thor, he was not easy to fool. In fact, he had done something not even Father had done before with such ease. In a matter of seconds, he had seen through my illusions, meaning he not only had a talent for the physical ways of a warrior but the magical ones, making him, even though weaker than Thor, a harder enemy to deal with. That of course only meant one thing, and that was that I had to prepare. He had defeated me once, and that would be his last accomplishment in life. For the next time we faced, I would be ready to kill him, with my most ingenious scheme. It had taken me over 2 months since the Loki incident, but I had finally reached the crafting level necessary to start manufacturing clay golems with a magical building within my territory. This meant, soon I would start leveling considerably faster. It also meant, the more Loki took to attack once again, the more dead he would be. After all, an army of disposable soldiers solves many things. Anyhow, the clay golem factory was the first building on the list I now had the ability to craft. This little factory could create 1 golem every 3 hours, making a total of 8 golems a day. With 1 golem operating the factory, I would produce clay golems 24/7. And if everything went right, I would have over 50 golems by the end of the week. Cool, right? At first, the process would be slow. I knew that because for the golems to be useful they had to reach a certain level, but in a matter of months, I would have an army of them above level 100. So, for now, I would let things cook at their own given time. I already had a golem operating the factory, whose sole purpose was keeping the production going, and I also already had the higher level golems ready to pick the new ones up for leveling, all while I continued to improve my crafting skills. This creature is remarkable, Eitri said, snapping me out of my train of thought. He was looking at my handcrafted clay golem, who had within this 2 months reached level 135. Thanks, I replied with a smile. To be honest, the difference in strength between this handcrafted golem and the ones using my power was massive. It was shocking, really. I told you, putting your heart in your creations brings the best out of them. Eitri nodded. In a way, he was right, though his preferred method took time, a ton of time. Crafting a single clay golem by hand had taken me way too long, and this type of golem was the easiest to craft. A rock golem, the new one on the list, could take up to a month to craft by hand. I don't even wanna check how long would it take to craft a metal golem or something beyond that. He even seems responsive, Eitri complimented, handing my golem some clay, who in turn looked at the clay with mild curiosity before looking at Eitri. Way too responsive, forbore Sake. He's not a simple golem. How could I not notice this before? He was right, because 2 weeks after Clay's birth, I had discovered the difference between golems, and that handcrafted golems were more alive, so to speak. They were still loyal servants but had a level of awareness vastly superior to the gamer-produced ones. It was a weird feeling. I mean, when I decided to create an army of them, I expected mindless beasts. Not that. I guess for the most part I was right. After all, only the special ones have a mind of their own to a limited extent, that is. That caught me by surprise, not gonna lie, I sighed, looking at Clay, who simply tilted his head, meeting gaze. You are truly a gifted individual. Do you have any idea how hard it is to create a sentient magical construct of this level? Eitri looked at me with a shocked look. And to think you did this without even knowing. Living constructs are better, for their potential is technically limitless. Limitless? I asked. Yes. Eitri grinned. Unlike a sword, or a soulless golem, these types of constructs evolve, they learn, they adapt and they overcome because they are like us, always learning with each passing second. for Odin's beard, clay here is stronger and better than he was a few seconds ago. Do you have any idea what marvelous thing you have created? Have you truly not noticed the changes since its creation? Soulless, hold on a minute, clay was truly alive. But how? My powers said nothing of the sort. Rewind a bit, he's alive, as in, he has a soul. I asked, looking at Clay, who waved at me with a smile. Yes, but not like you and I. Well, he is, but not entirely. You see, when one creates a golem, there is a magical toll to pay for its creation. The question is, what are you paying? Eitri replied with an excited grin. Well, you are paying for the creation of life, quite literally, because when you poured your mana into the clay, you created a spirit, a brand new spirit, an elemental, a soul to inhabit the golem and be one with it. Where was that disclosed to me? Did I forget to read a book or something? So Clay here has a soul. I sighed, looking at Clay, who once again waved at me. A newborn elemental spirit, Eitri corrected, which is kinda like a soul, but is not. Any concerns about a possible rebellion? I asked, and before I could dwell on that thought, Eitri started to laugh. Oh dear, no, elementals are stubbornly loyal and very territorial. They live to protect the source of their life, like many natural elementals do. For Clay, you are in a way Mother Nature, and you need to be protected at all costs. Eitri chuckled, patting Clay on the back. Well, I guess I learned something new today, I sighed. I was not expecting this to get so out of hand. Clay will continue to evolve, and serve you for as long as you live, Eitri added. Use it well. Elemental golems, also known as living constructs, are creatures capable of intelligent thought and critical thinking. While vastly different than other life forms, they share a lot of things with humans. Elemental golems have no gender, meaning they can't reproduce, so they have to be created. So far only 2 ways have been recorded detailing their creation. 1. Created by the hand of a powerful mage. These golems are born to serve and protect their creators. After all, they love their makers beyond human comprehension. In a way, the best way to describe their love or attachment to their creator is how humans love God. On another note, these golems, like all elemental golems, are extremely territorial and if threatened would not hesitate to kill anyone. 2. Natural-born golems. These are created by an overload of natural untapped mana in a random location. Once born, they will guard the area they have been spawned until the end of time, never leaving the place, killing anything that threatens their territory. There have been rumors of other ways to create them, but so far only these 2 methods have been confirmed. After 2 months, I had finally done it. I had unlocked the next step on my crafting agenda, the rock golem factory. Needless to say, I created a few of these buildings in a lot I had bought and started the mass production. Now, it was simply time to sit back and watch how things played out. I was after all already leveling without doing much leveling myself as of lately. All thanks to my golems. Heck, I already had over 100 clay golems leveling for me. Most of them were already above level 140. A day, I would get around 25% to 30% of my EXP bar, getting on an average of a level a week or so, which was by idle standards quite good. I reckoned that if I continued the path I was walking, soon I would start getting at least a level a day, maybe even more. Also, on another note, I had also discovered that the creation of automatons required space for them, meaning that I could not create more golems that my area could hold. So far, I calculated my limit was around 1000 golems before I needed to buy some more lands to host my army. Something I was already actively doing, buying lands in Texas, and using magic to hide what was happening inside said lands. Anyhow, with how things were going, it was time for a break. I had invested over 6 months in my crafting, and now it was time for a well-earned rest. Mayhaps time for a side project that didn't involve crafting. Dad. I heard Emily call, as she entered my office. Princess, what you doing here? I smiled at her, ruffling her hair. I wanted to show this. Emily smiled, and doing a circle with her hands, opened the mirror dimension. I wonder why I never learned this spell, it's so useful. Amazing it truly was, this technique ensured she would be safe on most occasions. I know I am. Emily winked at me with a proud smile. As I was about to hug her, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long while, my danger sense, going off. Emily, bring us back to the real world, I told her with a tone that left no room for argument. On it Emily nodded, without asking why. Back in the real world, I gave Emily quick orders to fetch Bucky and then go with Nat to one of our safe houses. With Emily out of the room, I opened my map, and checked. I needed to know what had set off my danger sense. It didn't take me long to find a single red dot approaching my location. Immediately, I used sight to check who it was, and what I saw surprised me. On the back of a truck, there was a man sitting with his arms crossed and a bloodthirsty smile. The man was big, very big, and sported a rather unique helmet that looked like the head of a bullet. That man was Juggernaut. Juggernaut LV 280. Just his level alone was a fucking ominous thing to look at. You called? Bucky asked, and I nodded. There is someone coming here, someone quite dangerous, I replied, a grave look on my face, and I have no idea why. A new quest has been created. Defeat the Juggernaut. Description: the Juggernaut is a force of nature that can't be stopped, but you have to stop it. Rewards: failure equals death. Alexander Pierce POV. It had taken us a while to find the perfect candidate to kill Alex. A man of his power made our entire lifelong goal quite difficult, and he needed to be eliminated, but that was easier said than done. That man was beyond human reach. So, I searched. Day and night, I looked for the hunter that would turn our predator into prey. Cain Marco was that man, or rather that monster. A man blessed with unimaginable strength and a thirst for battle that could never be satiated. Just what we needed. All it took to get him on our side was offering him a challenge. The man took Hydra, the ever-evolving mutant, Alex Walker. Of course, needless to say, Cain Marco was a wild card, one that we knew the moment Alex died, would betray us, but we would deal with that later. Unstoppable or not, in space he would be nothing but dead weight. Sir, are you sure this man can kill that monster? One of my agents asked, and I chuckled. We ran some simulations, and the Juggernaut is above Alex in each category, I replied, with full confidence. But what if we lose? I hummed at that. There was always the chance of that happening. Not to worry, if that came to happen, we will do what we have always done, survive. Not that I worried about the Juggernaut's performance. I knew that monster was more than enough to kill Alex. Odin Borson POV. Alex was in trouble. I could feel it. That bastard was making a move. Like always, I fucking hated Cyttorak. Thor. I called, my voice booming through the halls of my castle. Father! Thor shouted from far away, flying towards the throne room. Too slow, I needed him now, so snapping my fingers I summoned my child in front of me. Well, that you haven't done since I was but a child, Thor chuckled. No time to waste, you need to get to Earth now. I ordered. What is happening? Is Alex okay? Did they hurt my mighty nieces? Was it Loki? Thor asked one question after the other. No, I shook my head, taking a deep breath. If it was Loki, I would be sending you to protect your brother from his own stupidity. No, what Alex is about to face is something far worse, and it's known the Apostle of Cyttorak. The Apostle of what? Thor asked. A monster blessed with powers and bloodlust like no other. In my years I have seen many apostles, and they all share something in common, the madness that overtakes them. To make matters worse, their power is as big as that bastard of a god that blessed them decides it is. Meaning I could not interfere. If I went, Cyttorak could take it as a challenge, and could very well decide to give his apostle all his power, and that would be a battle Earth would not live to tell the tale. Knowing very well how strong the beast known as the Juggernaut was, I moved the battle out of the city, allowing whoever was driving the truck with him inside to follow me to a farm I had bought outside the city of New York, where I would teleport all of us, to a very secluded location. I have never seen you so distressed, Bucky commented. Well, to put it in terms we can all comprehend, we are fucked, I chuckled. That bad? Bucky asked. Yes, it is, I nodded. This man is like a million super soldiers in one, and is quite literally unkillable. My only options are teleporting his ass to a faraway location, which would only buy me a few days at most, or... No, that's it. So I take it bullets won't work. Bucky sighed. Will a rocket launcher do any good? I suppose it would piss him off. I guess I shrugged. I'll take that, Bucky nodded. With a sigh, I stopped my car as I reached the farm, and before the truck following us could stop, opened a portal sending the entire truck to the desert. Well, time to see how much damage we can deal to this guy, I commented, opening a portal for me and Bucky to step through. On the other side, Juggernaut was already out, killing the man that had driven the truck. Where is my challenge, you moron? That would be us, Bucky said, aiming his gun at him. Cute Juggernaut smiled, cracking his neck. How the fuck did he crack his neck with that armor? You know what, questions for later. Is there any way to avoid confrontation, good sir? I asked, to which he laughed. So, with a sigh, I equipped my armor. Soon after this, the behemoth began to march aggressively toward me, so I did what anyone in my position would have done, and blasted the beast with my most powerful spell. However, this did nothing, not even a single scratch was on him. A spell that would hurt Thor, did nothing to him, just great. For a scarred. I heard someone shout, followed by a hammer blasting Juggernaut out of track. Thor. I chuckled, as he descended to the ground. Thor nodded. Can Goldilocks here beat him? Bucky asked, ignoring Thor for a moment. Not sure, but with him, on our side, our chances are significantly better, I replied. Not sure. Thor gasped, you good sir, hurt my feelings. I'll take you to Disneyland later, now help me kick his ass, I snorted. You better buy a hat for my hammer, Thor smiled, calling his hammer back to him. More toys to break. Juggernaut laughed, walking towards us, again showing no injury. You shall be the one to be defeated, Thor declared, with a confident smile. The battle erupted, with Thor taking the main offensive, being the only one truly able to push the beast back a bit. Meanwhile, I was thinking of a strategy. If the battle continued like it was going, we would lose. Juggernaut never tired, it was a part of his stupidly broken power, meaning he would outlast all of us if things continued the way they were. Don't think I forgot about you. Juggernaut roared in delight, punching Thor a few miles away, as he ran towards me. Move! Bucky shouted, shooting a few grenades at the behemoth, trying to slow him down. Level up! Ignoring the notification, I jumped above the beast, avoiding his charge, as I opened a portal to an active volcano behind, bathing him in lava. This tickles. Juggernaut cackled, charging at me once again, this time, twice as fast. Juggernaut LV 318. Did he level up? No, his power increased all of the sudden. Was he perhaps the version of Juggernaut whose power is regulated by a god? Clearing my head, I made an attempt to dodge his attack, however this time, I had no time to react as I found myself violently attacked by a mountain of muscle, that knocked the wind out of me, sending my body flying like a ragdoll. Eat this! Thor roared, blasting Juggernaut with the clap of thunder, as I fell into the ground with a loud thud. Alex! Bucky called, running towards me. Struggling to move, I stood up, before my body gave in, and vomited some blood. The damage would take a few seconds to heal with my insane regeneration, but still, the fact that monster had punched me so hard my armor even after mitigating 80% of the damage had left me in this situation was enough to show how much of a threat he was. I'm fine, I reassured Bucky, who gave me a look that said, yeah, don't think so pal. Nothing we do hurts him, Bucky hissed. I have shot at the bastard with every weapon I have, and nothing happens. Even Goldilocks there is losing more and more ground. A few seconds ago, he was matching the bastard, now he is being overwhelmed. Stay down! Thor roared, blood running down his mouth as he slammed Juggernaut with his hammer with all his strength. The one getting trained here is you. Now sit, boy. Juggernaut cackled, punching Thor to his knees, then out of the way, sending Thor flying with a trail of blood behind him. 5 minutes in, and we were losing badly. Fuck this, it was time to regroup. Before the Juggernaut could react, I encased him in a bubble before he started his famously stoppable charge, and threw said bubble into the sky, a few miles away from us. With that done, I gave 3 potions to Bucky. Give those to Thor and tell him to wait for me, we need a new strategy. On it, Bucky nodded. With Bucky out of sight, I focused my attention back on Juggernaut, the problem we had at hand. If we continued to face him like this, or death was a matter of time. No, we needed time to plan a better approach. And my golems would buy that time. I wasn't particularly happy sacrificing them, but what other choice did I have? Summoning my golems was easy enough, now all I had to do was stay back, and let them buy me some time. Father was not joking, Thor sighed, drinking the last pot I had sent with Bucky. That is a monster that needs to be put down. Well, unfortunately, we lack the firepower to do so, I sighed. Perhaps if Thor had his full powers, it would make matters more simple, but as we were right now, we were fucked. Any ideas? Bucky asked. The sun. I sighed. Of course, you can open a portal to the sun. Thor smiled, and I shook my head. Not really. If I did, I would also be exposing us to the radiation of the sun, and the heat for the amount of time the portal is open, and considering how hot the sun is, we would all burn to ashes before we can see if he can be killed with the sun, I replied. How about opening a portal close to the sun? Bucky suggested. If we attack him hard enough, and open the portal, gravity and our attack should do the rest. It could work, or Juggernaut could end up surviving, in which case I would call the cheating department. Wouldn't the gravity also suck us in? Thor asked, which honestly surprised me. That was a mighty intelligent question for him. It would, but I would be opening and closing the portal in a matter of a second. Also, I'll enchant our ground to have a better standing, I replied. Then let's do it. Thor smiled. I am tired of this. Juggernaut roared, apparently getting tired of the golems. now ignoring them as he charged toward us. "I fucking hate this guy," I muttered under my breath. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but please, give me more Hydra," Bucky muttered with me. "For me God!" Thor roared, flying towards the juggernaut. "You moron, the plan!" I shouted at him. "Oh, right." Thor stopped mid-flight. "I will crush your skulls." Juggernaut cackled, one-shotting 3 golems on his charge. 20 golems had died in a matter of 2 minutes, fucking monster. Wait a moment, his momentum is unstoppable. He was the perfect example of an unstoppable force, meaning, even he could not stop his own charge, which meant, I could use his own broken power to deal with him. With a smile, I opened a portal right in front of him, and let the overpowered bastard run through it, sending him in the sun's orbit. I feel so stupid," Bucky sighed, realizing what I had realized just now. "Where is he?" Thor asked. "On the sun's orbit," I replied, hopefully dead in a few seconds. "Quest completed. You have level up." Odin Borson POV. They had won. It had taken them a while, but they had won. Kinda. The only reason they had won was because Cyttorak got angry at his apostle for letting Alex pull a fast one on him, and took away his powers, allowing the sun to consume the man. Had Cyttorak been in a better mood, not even that attack would have done a thing to his apostle. But like most gods of his pantheon, he has a short fuse and considers anything a failure, and for him the moment his apostle allowed Alex to outsmart him, he was a failure, one to be discarded. "Do you think that man will be back?" the Ancient One asked. "No, Cyttorak is not one to give second chances to his apostles," I replied. Good, had that not worked, I would have been forced to intervene. The Ancient One sighed. "Dormammu would have loved the company, and unstoppable or not, a simple apostle is no match for a god on his domain." "Ha, mayhaps," I laughed. "Though, Cyttorak is a sore loser. Just to face Dormammu he would have given his minion all of his power." "I suppose, but a god who embodies physical might can't do much against him. After all, Dormammu is immune to physical attacks, making Cyttorak and his powers a futile endeavor." The Ancient One chuckled. "The question now is, who's gonna be the next apostle?" I sighed. "All we need to do is seal the gem, to avoid another similar scenario," the Ancient One replied. "That won't work. The gem is Cyttorak's anchor to this dimension, and while without it, he can't bestow others with his power. The gem can't be sealed." I sighed. I had tried before, but it had been futile. Had I not sealed Hela, I would be able to seal the gem, but with the power I had right now, it was far beyond my powers. "Then, how about we put it somewhere where no one can find it? A planet without life, for example," the Ancient One suggested. "A good idea indeed, that just might work. Without life, Cyttorak would be rendered useless. At least for a while. After a few thousand years or so, Cyttorak would notice no one had come to him for power and created another gem and hurl that gem to an inhabited planet. It could work, at least momentarily." I nodded. "Better than having another juggernaut," the Ancient One smiled. "Yes," I admitted with a smile of my own. Fighting Juggernaut had taught me a valuable lesson. Things could and would turn unpredictable one way or another. Thor, my strongest ally, had in a matter of minutes started to lose the battle against the avatar of Cyttorak. I had only won because Juggernaut was basically mentally disabled, and outthinking him had been quite an easy task once I realized that. But what if the next avatar of Cyttorak was a bit more intelligent? If I was like I was now, I would most certainly die. I needed to get stronger, but how? Defeating Juggernaut had given a lot of power, but even then, I was still too short to match the likes of him, the likes of Thanos, and those were low-level players in the great scheme of things if they represented a threat. Beings like Null were so far out of my current reach I might as well beg for mercy. Crafting would no longer do. If I wanted to become stronger, I needed something else, something extra. With that in mind, I commissioned a few things with Eitri, who at first was reluctant to help me, mostly because of how outrageous my commissions were. But, with the help of Odin, and a few very compelling points, he accepted. To which I was immensely glad. Anyway. In the end, Eitri had accepted to craft two things for me: 1, a weapon for me to wield which I desperately needed, which Thor had offered to pay for, and 2, a destroyer factory. Out of the two things I had asked, the destroyer factory Eitri would create for me was the hardest thing to get, because of the implications this brought in the larger picture, but eventually, both kings accepted under the condition I would use my own metal to craft the destroyers, meaning no Uru for me. I was completely fine with that agreement. I had all the adamantium one could ask for, and would soon find some vibranium to add to the mix. Needless to say, I would not get my vibranium from Wakanda. I would get it from the source. From the place the meteor that had struck Wakanda had come from. How would I do that? By tapping into the space stone. If my suspicions were correct, connecting my powers to the space stone would expand my map to all in existence, for everything existed within a given space. Then from there, it would only be a matter of finding the birthplace of the vibranium, which I was confident would be remarkably easy after I had my map updated to the entire universe. All I currently needed were 3 levels. Stats. Name equals Alex Walker. Title equals The Gamer. Occupation equals Crafter. Level equals 217. EXP equals 98%/100%. HP equals 1,074,000/1,074,000. MP equals 1,097,500/1,097,500. STR equals 2,500, plus 1,500, equals 4,000. VIT equals 2,148. Definite equals 1899. DEX equals 1875. Int equals 2,195. Char equals 756. Wis equals 700. Will equals 1,400. Per equals 1,289. LUK equals 469. Stat points equals 550. Money, 14,548,142,752 $. The required level to use the space stone was 220, meaning I was remarkably close. Meaning that for now, I would focus only on getting those 3 levels alongside my golems, which if I pushed it through would get by the end of the week or so. Brother! Thor shouted, bursting into my office through the ceiling, once again. Thor, what have we talked about? I sighed, rubbing my temples. Not to break anything in your house? Thor asked, and I nodded. So, why did you not use the door? I asked, pointing at the perfectly usable door. Well, this is technically not your house, so, you know, grey areas and such, Thor replied with an innocent smile. Never mind, I am wasting my time. He would never learn how to stop breaking stuff. I can't fix what he has learned in 1500 years, so, what are you doing here? I asked, already imagining my construction company wondering why my ceiling had a hole and burnt marks all around it. They probably think I am crazy or something. Well, I wanted to ask you, what weapon do you fancy? What weapon do I fancy? Well, ain't that a good question? To be honest, I have no idea, I replied, scratching my head at the thought. What weapon would go well with my fighting style? A sword? No, I sucked at them. Perhaps a whip? Maybe. Whips are known for generating many times more force than the user can generate, so it could be a good idea. A whip maybe. A whip. Thor tilted his head, humming, maybe. And just like that he was gone as Himdall opened the bridge for him, in my office. Bye. I sighed, looking at the markings on the floor. Now my construction company was going to think I was satanic or something. Alexander Pierce, Hydra POV. Our plan had failed. Terribly, may I add. Alex had countered our weapons by capitalizing on his stupidity. And had once again delayed our plans a few decades, but not to worry, eventually, he would fall. Start the next operation, the Wolverine, I ordered one of my agents as I walked to my office. Yes, sir, we find the mutant as fast as possible. Wolverine, while weaker than Juggernaut, was vastly more intelligent, and immortal. With a few added modifications he would prove a valuable asset to our cause, eliminating Alex Walker. You will not, a voice said, followed by the sound of a loud thud, as if a bowling ball had fallen into the ground, but unlike a bowling ball, this sounded soggier. Immediately I turned around, to find not only the agent I had just talked to death on the floor, his head decapitated, but everyone else in the base. The once white and black room coated with blood and other body parts, painting a bloody work of art. In front of me stood a woman, around 20 or so years old, smiling at me in a sweet yet terrifying manner. Who are you? I asked, and she giggled. Who are you? Why are you doing this? Blah blah, they always ask the same questions, the wrong ones, the woman sighed, seemingly disappointed with what I had just said. What is the right question then? I asked, buying as much time as possible, as I slowly reached for my gun. Well, that's a new one, the woman giggled once again, taking a seat on a blood-coated chair, index finger pressing to her lips as she hummed, well, I guess it would be, what did you do to become my enemy? I don't know you, I replied. Had we perhaps attacked her family, it could be, it was plausible enough. Oh, but you do, the woman replied, not like this though, but you do know me, and well, you have been a very, very naughty man. Finally reaching my weapon, I aimed at her, but my and body stopped. What? I mumbled, my body paralyzed by some sort of invisible force. What? The woman mocked. Oh, you silly goose, she booped my nose with her blood-covered finger in a lively manner. The moment you saw my face, you achieved absolute death. There is no point in fighting it. Hydra will stand once again, you kill one head. All of the sudden, I couldn't speak. I know, Hydra and their mythos. Boring, the woman rolled her eyes. The thing is, there are no more necks for a single head to grow, she grinned, sending a shiver down my spine. It took some time, but I killed every single last survivor. Impossible. Once again, I could talk. It appeared the woman was controlling my body with some sort of power. If only I could put her a mutant suppressant collar, we would get a valuable asset against that man, but unfortunately she killed everyone. Impossible. The woman snorted, you guys only had 2 bases, that's basically a snack for me, nothing like the old days, hundreds of bases. She giggled, Walker walked all about you. So you are his ally. I scoffed, when all of the sudden, I saw one of my agents move. There was a chance. More than that, the woman answered in a cryptically sweet manner. The little bastard was enjoying toying with me. Anyhow, time to die, so, any last words? Yes, I smiled, welcome to Hydra. As soon as I said this, the agent that had somehow survived put the collar on her, neutralizing her powers, effectively releasing me from her grasp. One survived. The woman muttered in panic, good, she would soon learn to obey. I chuckled, it seems you got overconfident, little girl. Ha 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 ha, she was laughing. You think I'm a mutant? Oh God, I wanted to play this charade a bit longer, but, look at you, all high and confident 'cause of this little bitty collar. I looked at the woman, and took a step back, witnessing in terror how she destroyed the mutant-suppressing collar with some sort of invisible force. Then, with her neck free of any restraint, she turned around and with a smile, eviscerated the last agent alive with a wave of her hand. I left him alive to make a point, you know. What point? I asked, my hands trembling. If you haven't got the point yet. She giggled, approaching me with a disappointed look. Well, there is no point in explaining it, and with that said, she killed me, ending Hydra once and for all, and leaving me with one question, just who the hell was her? 3 days later, I had reached the level required to use the Infinity Stone that controlled the aspect of the universe known as space. I wasn't gonna lie. I was nervous. This was going to be a big step in my endgame. With it, power beyond my wildest dreams would be within the tip of my fingers. Okay, time to bring the stone out, I muttered to myself, opening my inventory. The Space Stone, aspect of the universe. The Space Stone gives the user total power over space. Anyone holding the Space Stone with enough power can not only create portals from one part of the universe to another but bend space itself. Recommended level, 220. Item class, Legendary Unique. Currently, the Space Stone is trapped within the Tesseract. Here goes nothing. Taking a deep breath, I cracked the Tesseract open, revealing the stone in all its glory. The stone was relatively small, but even with its fragile look, I could feel the density of the power it emanated. Do you wish to equip the Space Stone? Yes/no. Click. For more information. Wait, what? Shocked at the revelation I could equip the Space Stone, I opened the tab for more information. The Infinity Stones, the aspects of the universe. At the dawn of the universe, there was nothing. Then, with a boom, the Big Bang sent 6 elemental crystals hurtling across the virgin universe. These Infinity Stones each control an essential aspect of existence. Space, reality, power, soul, mind, and time. Together these aspects give the user almighty powers, but to use all 6 of the stones, the user requires power to control the cosmic radiation these elemental stones generate. 1 stone equals level 220. 2 stones equals level 300. 3 stones equals level 390. 4 stones equals level 450. 5 stones equals level 500. 6 stones equals level 550. Using more than 1 stone without the required level can result in death or permanent injuries, so it's recommended for the aspiring user to be the level required, or close at the very least. Once you have the required level, and one of the 6 aspects, then it's time to equip the stone. You might be wondering, how does this work? Well, by accessing your inventory, you can equip the stone as an accessory to yourself, keeping the stone within the deeps of your pocket dimension, but with access to its power. Word of advice, this equipping system only works if you already have the required level for use. I can equip the Space Stone, and not have it on the outside. Well, this is free real estate. Happy with the explanation I had read, I equipped the stone, who in turn disappeared into my inventory as the explanation had said. Immediately after, I felt a pulse of power. It was as if I was still holding the stone, but at the same time, no. The space stone has been equipped. Do you wish to reveal the map of the universe? Yes/no. Click. For more information. Of course, I want. Without hesitating, I smashed the button, and waited. 1, 2, 3, massive headache. I had not considered how painful revealing the entire universe would be. Well, painful was a strong word, it was more like a migraine I was having. The entire universe has been explored and revealed. +29268999456 EXP. Hidden quest completed, leave no corner unexplored. You are in a new universe, so go and explore it, leave nothing hidden on your map. Rewards, the Boons of the Living Tribunal X10. Additional reward, search bar on the map. The Boons of the Living Tribunal. Confused, I checked my inventory. The Boons of the Living Tribunal, legendary item. Quantity equals 10. Each boon grants the user 1 level, and plus 10 on each stat. A rare candy basically. Well, I am obviously saving that for a later date. Using it now would be a waste. Well, this turned out to be great. I smiled. 7 levels just for discovering the entire universe, how wonderful was that, and to add a cherry on the top, 10 rare candies, which I was happy to have. But enough about that. Now it was time to find where was the precious metal I so desperately wanted. Let's see, I chuckled, opening my map. Ego the Living Planet POV. I felt something, a pulse of cosmic energy expanding throughout the cosmos. The question now was, who was responsible for such display? A celestial, if I had to take a guess. Perhaps they were searching for me. Perhaps they had discovered my plan to overthrow them. Regardless of that, I had to move, and then find out who had done such a thing. Perhaps it was simply an idiot that had used the space stone and died, releasing such energy into the cosmos. Perhaps I was moving to another corner of the universe for nothing, but it was best to assume the worst, and get the best than assume the best, and get the worse. Alex Walker POV. I could see everyone's movements on my map. All I had to do was type a name on the map, and my map would move to that person, or in my current case, planet, aka Ego. I could see his dot moving, at great speeds may I add, as if running from something. Then, I moved to Thanos. He was currently alone on his home planet, Titan. This reward, was broken. The search bar not only showed me people, but things, like with it, I had found the planet from which the meteor that had hit Wakanda had come from. I think, there were 3 planets with the metal, one of them uninhabited called Sufio, one with only animals Rohirsch, and the last one, being the only one with a civilization, Torfa. Fuck Wakanda, quite literally. I now had access to more vibranium that I could possibly use. Well, I cracked my neck, time to farm some vibranium. The Ancient One POV. Alex had finally used the space stone, in a way I had not expected, at least not entirely. Then again, he had changed the timeline so much, I had no idea what to expect anymore. Revealing the secrets of the universe to him, with his new knowledge, he had moved all of his golems out of Earth to mine some vibranium off the crust of some uninhabited planets. I was happy for him. He was slowly but surely becoming stronger and more resourceful. The question now was, how long would it be before he asked me for the time stone? I hummed at that thought, watching through the window in my office as Emily bested his peers in everything, I smiled at the sight. Emily was truly a prodigy. In fact, she would probably be the best sorceress of her time, only second to Doctor Strange. Back to the time stone. I suppose soon enough he will come to ask me for the stone. A momentary loan, I am sure. Especially since his power connects so well with the Infinity Stones, that it almost seems like he was made to wield them. 1 second using the Space Stone, and he had uncovered the entire cosmos. Perhaps with the Time Stone, he would uncover the mysteries of the past, or something else, who knows. Oh, I muttered, getting a brief vision about Alex's arrival. He's coming already, how fun. I chuckled. 3, 2, 1. Hi, Mr. Walker, I greeted as the portal opened in my office. This portal, unlike the ones we the master of the mystical arts use, was blue, and was charged with cosmic power. It seems Mr. Walker was learning how to use the Space Stone quite adequately, if I say so myself. Hi, Alex replied in kind, with his usual smile. Is there anything I can do for you? I asked, with a knowing smile, mostly because it annoyed him. You already know. Alex rolled his eyes, taking a seat. I do. I gasped with a playful smile. You enjoy this? Alex sighed, returning the smile. I have no idea what you mean, I chuckled. Okay then, I want you to lend me, emphasis on the lending part, the time stone, for a few minutes or so, and there it is. It took him a week to ask me for the stone. Frankly, I expected this conversation a few hours after he used the Space Stone. I hummed, pretending to think about it. Sure, but only for a few seconds. I winked at him, eventually summoning the Eye of Agamotto to the office. Alex beamed at my response, tackling me into a hug. Mr. Walker, please behave, I am 50 times your age, I teased him with a sigh. You are way too playful today, Alex laughed, breaking the hug. Well, what can I say, you bring the child in me, I smiled at him, handing him the stone. Thanks. Alex smiled. Be quick, the last thing I need is others finding out I basically gave that which we are supposed to protect from everyone, I smiled, as he studied the stone with a scrutinizing look on his face. This won't be long, a minute at most, Alex replied, holding the stone in his right hand before it disappeared. Alex Walker POV. After sending the majority of my golems to mine the vibranium in Sufio, I decided to test a theory out. If equipping the Space Stone had given me so many rewards, and such, what would happen if I equipped another stone? The Time Stone, let's say. Would I perhaps get some rewards? Would I perhaps get nothing? I had no idea, but it was worth trying anyway. So, with that thought in mind, I teleported to the Ancient One's office to ask her a favor, using the Space Stone to flex, of course. I wanted her to lend me the Time Stone, just for a bit. I was ready to negotiate for it, but surprisingly she accepted rather quickly. I guess a part of me was waiting for a quick no. Which was stupid now that I think about it, she had after all offered the stone before. In any case, it was time to test that theory out. Space Stone unequipped. Do you wish to equip the Time Stone? Yes/no. Click. For more information. With a smile, I smashed the yes option. The Time Stone has been equipped. Do you wish to reveal the history of the universe? Yes/no. Click. For more information. Don't mind if I do. Library/gallery unlocked. The entire history of the universe has been added to your library/gallery. +99289999477 EXP. Level up. Hidden quest completed. a true scholar never rests. Knowledge is power, and you need power to survive. So, seek the knowledge hidden in the past. For there lays the answers to your questions. Rewards, the boons of the Living Tribunal X10. Additional reward, time walking dungeons. The boons of the Living Tribunal again, well aimed at a treat. Quest completed, the secrets of the cosmos. And the predators that lurk within. Description, you alone know what is to come, but what can you do about it? How can a man prepare if he doesn't know how strong his enemy is? Well, the answer is simple. To prepare you must reach the skies, and find what you can about the threats that will hold the universe to its knees. Objective, investigate in the ever-expanding universe about the predators that lurk in the cosmos. Some of them are free, others are imprisoned, but all are very much alive and waiting for the time to strike. Investigate about Hela 100/100%. Investigate about Thanos 100/100%. Investigate about Null 100/100%. Investigate about Kang 100/100%. Investigate about Mephisto 100/100%. Investigate about Galactus 100/100%. Rewards, fragment of the cosmos. Fragment of the cosmos. What the hell is that? Confused, I opened my inventory. Fragment of the cosmos, legendary crafting item. A piece of what was before the bang, elemental like the 6 aspects of the universe, but hollow lacking a purpose. Maybe you can give it one. This can be used for crafting. That sounds like something I might want to add to my weapon. Stats. Name equals Alex Walker. Title equals The Gamer. Occupation equals Crafter. Level equals 238. EXP equals 15%/100%. HP equals 1,084,000/1,084,000. MP equals 1,107,500/1,107,500. STR equals 2,520, plus 1,512, equals 4,032. VIT equals 2,168. Definite equals 1919. DEX equals 1895. Int equals 2,215. Char equals 780. Wiz equals 720. Will equals 1,420. Per equals 1,305. LUK equals 480. Stat points equals 750. Money, 14,148,142,752 I gave the time stone back to the Ancient One, already done with what I had needed it in the first place. I couldn't help but smile. In the span of a week, I had gained 18 levels. By just equipping 2 Infinity Stones. It was clear what I had to do next. I had to find the next stone to equip. The Mind Stone according to my universal map was with Thanos. Meaning that stone was currently a hard no. The Reality Stone was nowhere to be found. The Soul Stone, well, I was not willing to pay the price. Which left only one stone for the taking, the Power Stone located in Morag. It seems I would be stealing the stone before Quill. How sad, and by sad I mean terribly great. Thanks, I thanked the Ancient One, who simply smiled at me. Nothing to thank me for, Mr. Walker, the Ancient One smiled, I just happy to help a friend. I looked at her, images of Dormammu flashing before my eyes as I came to the resolution, that I would help her, that I would recover her soul, one way or another, as thanks to all she has done for me, for Emily, for us. See you later. I waved at her one last time, opening the portal to Morag. As soon I stepped into the portal to Morag, instead of finding something solid to step on, I found falling into the sea with a loud splash. Most in this situation would have tried to swim into the surface, but for a moment I did nothing but allow the sea to drag me into the abyss. I was processing the fact I had committed a big stupid mistake. I had access to basically all knowledge about all planets, and I had still failed to check what was I to expect on the planet. In other circumstances such a mistake could very well be lethal. Finally, over my own stupidity, I let out of breath under the dark sea of Morag and used my telekinesis to fly out of the deep sea, as I opened my map to get some information about the planet. Something I should have done a few minutes ago. Oh well. Morag X78. Morag is an oceanic planet located in the Andromeda Galaxy at the eclipsing binary star M31VJ00443799 plus 4129236. Most of the current inhabitants of this planet are rodent-like creatures and aquatic crocodile-like creatures in one of the early stages of evolution. History. Thousands of years ago, Morag was the home of an advanced and flourishing civilization that was wiped out by a global catastrophe. Sometime prior to their demise, the inhabitants of Morag built a temple to guard the orb, an artifact that contained an infinity stone within it. Following the catastrophe, Morag became a desolate planet with nothing but seas. However, every 300 years, the sea lowers just enough and the temple is made accessible. Many call this planet simply Morag, but in reality, its real name is Morag X78 as it's the 78th planet with Morag as a name. The other 77 planets that share the same name are currently desolate from all life. That explains the water, I chuckled. Ah. A growl. Now that I think about it, I feel something shaking on my leg. Following the sound, and the shaking sensation, I found a shark-sized animal that looked like a crocodile biting my leg, and I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how to react. I had the equivalent of a shark biting me on the leg, and yet I had felt nothing. Lipotrius LV30. I am not food, I told the croco shark, kicking him or her into the sunset. I wasn't sure about its gender, and quite honestly, I didn't care. I came here for stone, anything else besides that was not important. Leg free of the croco shark clutches, I used sight to locate the power stone. The power stone was underwater, a few thousand miles under the sea to be precise. Maybe the Ancient One has a spell for that. Well, I guess before I could finish that sentence, a portal opened in front of me, followed by a book hitting me in the face with a note attached to it. Mr. Walker, I am currently busy doing magic stuff, so please use this book to help you in your underwater adventure. With love, the Ancient One. P.S. Sorry for hitting you in the face. Amazon Prime, Ancient One Department. Snorting at that thought, I grabbed the book and inspected its contents. The Eldritch Arts, Barriers and Their Application Underwater, by Yao. Do you wish to learn this book? Yes/no. Needless to say, I pressed yes. A new skill has been created. Eldritch Pressure Barrier LV1 equals a barrier capable of withstanding the might of the seas. For each +1 atmosphere, the spell consumes 100 extra mana. 1000 MP/S. That should do. With a smile and ready to collect what I had come to get, I activated the barrier and opened it to where the power stone was, this time willingly diving into the sea. Eldritch Pressure Barrier has level up. 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 The moment I stepped into the temple, the skill I had just learned had started to level up non-stop. It was annoying really. All I could see were notifications about the damn skill leveling 1. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. God damn it, I can't see. I cursed, the notifications and the lack of light in the place making my mission harder than it had to be. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. I guess on some level I understood why the skill was getting so many levels. I mean, the pressure here was so big, that it was 2,500 times bigger than the pressure on Earth. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Thankfully, I had enough mana to sustain the spell almost indefinitely. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Fuck this. Tired of the notification parade. I created a ball of pure eldritch energy illuminating the entire temple, finally locating the orb holding the stone. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Why didn't I just do that from the very beginning? I guess the notifications triggered me before I could think. I'll go with that. Eldritch pressure barrier has level up. Using my telekinesis, I grabbed the orb, and, eldritch pressure barrier has level up, opened a portal to the surface. That's it for the video guys. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe. Also tell me in the comment section which kind of fanfiction you would like to watch next or if you have any recommendation.